Howdy everyone. Alright then, Fastway, the early 80s hard rock supergroup that should have, but sadly didn't, for the most part. You see, founding member and longtime Motorhead guitarist Fast Eddie Clarke, in and around 1982, found himself suddenly ousted from the original classic Motorhead lineup, a lineup which consisted of himself, Lemmy Kilmister of course, and drummer Filthy Animal Taylor. Now, some say that Fast Eddie quit the band of his own volition, disgruntled with the musical direction Motorhead were heading in the early 80s, with the final straw being the band's cover of Tammy Wynette's country standard Stand By Your Man, in collaboration with Wendy O. Williams and the Plasmatics. Fast Eddie refused to play on the track and resigned from the band shortly thereafter. And yet there are others, including Fast Eddie himself, who contend that he was forced out of Motorhead, mostly at the prodding of drummer Filthy Animal Taylor. Fast Eddie has stated in the past that he had always just assumed that he would die of a heart attack while on stage as an old man while still playing with Motorhead. He would certainly never quit the band. Wherever the truth may lie, Fast Eddie was suddenly no longer a member of Motorhead in the early 80s and began setting his sights on putting together a new project, something maybe a bit more removed from the hard-driving punk metal stylings of Motorhead. He teamed up with famed UFO bassist Pete Way, thus the Fast Way band moniker, along with humble pie drummer Jerry Shirley. And the three of them would set to work on finding a suitable lead vocalist who could handle their own particular brand of Led Zeppelin-esque blues-based early 80s hard rock. And boy oh boy did they find one in an unknown kid from Dublin, Ireland named Dave King, a virtual Robert Plant clone as far as vocal range went. Signed to CBS Records, this was a bona fide hard rock supergroup with an absolutely amazing new vocalist leading the charge. And on paper, with this band's pedigree and talent, should have hit the thriving 80s rock scene like a hammer. And then, just before entering the studio to record their already written debut album, bassist and founder Pete Way quit upon receiving an invitation to join Ozzy Osbourne's band for the Diary of a Madman tour. I can't fault him that, I suppose. Regardless, the band pressed on, recorded and released the self-titled debut album with uncredited bass parts, and it indeed did reasonably well upon its initial release, buoyed on the strength of the lead single and the track that we're looking at today, Say What You Will. It actually cracked the Billboard Top 40 in album sales, reaching as high as number 31 on the charts. So things were looking rather rosy for Fastway, straight out of the gate. The following year saw the release of the debut's follow-up, All Fired Up, which did reasonably well in its own right, but the hardships of constant touring, life on the road, and interband squabbles saw half the band quit before a third album could get written and recorded. And it was downhill all the way, pretty much from here on in for Fastway. Fast Eddie would keep the Fastway train rolling throughout the 80s and beyond, with spurts of success here and there. But as the 80s rolled into the 90s and hard rock as a genre started to fade out of the mainstream, it was fairly obvious that Fastway had pretty much run its course. Now, you may or may not know this already, but lead vocalist Dave King would eventually leave the band himself after the first 4 or 5 albums, and in the late 90s he would go on to form and front the Celtic punk band Flogging Molly, who would go on to have a certain degree of international success themselves. So Dave King did all right for himself in the end, albeit with a complete and total shift in musical direction and vocal stylings for that matter. Flogging Molly are still going strong as of 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Fast Eddie Clarke, sadly, is no longer with us, having died in 2018 from complications of pneumonia. He was at the time the last surviving member of the classic Motorhead lineup from the late 70s. Anyway, that is your rock and roll history lesson for today, boys and girls, and about enough chit-chat about Fast Eddie, Dave King, Fastway, and Flogging Molly. Let's learn how to play this great riff, shall we? All right, Say What You Will, Fast Eddie Clarke and Fastway. We're in standard tuning for this little mini tutorial, and this shouldn't take too long, as it's a pretty simple riff that repeats a number of times. I'm also going to show you the verses, which is just some power chord work, and it goes a little something like this. So it starts with 2 quick hits of the open A string, just like that, in quick succession. And then we're going to grab the 5 of the G string and go 5, 6, 7, picking each note. And now we're going to back it up to the 5th fret again of the G string, do a little trill between 5, 6, and pull it off back to 5. And then we're going to grab the 7 of the D, pull it off to 5. And then a pick note at 7 of the A string to finish it up. And that's pretty much the riff. But the key here is to pick each one of those notes on that little chromatic run, 5, 6, 7. And that's a little hammer-on pull-off, pick note on the 7. And now, once we get to that 7, we're going to roll down to a double stop on the 7th fret of the D and the G string, hit that twice, off to a double stop on the 5th fret of the same strings. And then you're going to, after you hit that double stop on the 5th fret, you're going to slide it out to an A power chord and hit that twice. And then you're going to go right back into the riff again. But you're not going to hit the 2 open A strings this time. You're just going to go right to the 5 of the G and do that little chromatic run. So you're going to repeat that 8 times. 4 times for the intro, 4 times for once the band joins the guitar, and then we're into the first verse, and that's just power chord work. Double A power chord, C to D, D to C, C to D again, D to C, double hit of the A power chord, and that's the verse. C to D, reverse, C to D again, reverse, double A. And so you're going to repeat that twice, I believe. 3-finger power chords here, not just the 2-finger power chords. You want to get that note in there as well. And that's the chorus, which is the main riff. And that is how you play that one. And I certainly hope you found that helpful if you were looking to learn this great classic Fast Eddie Clarke riff from Fastway. And you guys take care of yourselves, and hope you're well out there in your little guitar corner of the world, wherever that may be. Take care of yourselves, those around you, and we will see you next time. Cheers.